The film starts with vampire Selene narrating the history of the war between Lycans and vampires, which has lasted 20 years. Viktor, a vampire leader, has built an army to exterminate the Lycans, who transform into uncontrollable werewolves when infected. One day, Viktor discovers a human child in a prison cell, born of a Lycan, and names him Lucian. Despite considering killing the child, Viktor spares him. As Lucian grows, he proves stronger and more focused than other Lycans. Viktor uses Lucian to create more Lycans by having him feed on human slaves, resulting in a new slave race to serve the vampires. While the vampires believe they control the Lycans, this control is precarious. In this film, there are two types of werewolves: wild ones in permanent wolf form and Lycans who can transform and serve the vampires. In the present, a horseman is riding through the woods at night, pursued by wolves. At the castle, Viktor discusses politics and finances with his advisors, Coloman and Orsova. Despite not caring much about the human slaves, Viktor acknowledges they are vital for food and income, as human nobility pay him for protection against the wolves. Therefore, they must take action. The rider in the woods fights off the wolves but faces increasing numbers. As he approaches the castle, vampires arm crossbows and kill the wolves. Lucian saves the rider by killing a lunging wolf with a crossbow bolt. The rider, revealed to be Sonja, is ungrateful to Lucian and bosses him around. Viktor, however, praises Lucian and asks if he minds killing his own kind. Lucian responds that the wolves are just animals. Viktor reminds Lucian of his servant status, instructing him to keep his eyes on the ground. Sonja and Viktor argue because Viktor wants her to stay safe in the castle, leaving the wolf hunting to the death dealers. Sonja, a skilled fighter and Viktor's daughter, is stubborn and defies him. Viktor, grooming her to become an elder, worries she endangers her council position by disobeying him and missing meetings. Outside, Lucian burns the corpse of the wolf he killed at the castle gates, which transforms back into human form as it burns. Other Lycans are whipped and forced to work for the vampires. When a vampire guard becomes overly aggressive, Lucian intervenes, causing the guard to insult him and leave angrily. Lucian, Viktor's favored servant, holds some authority in the workyard and is respected by the other Lycans. In the council chambers, Viktor discusses the wolf problem with Coloman and Orsova. Viktor downplays the issue, but Coloman points out that the wolves are killing humans, their main food source. This makes the vampires appear weak to the human nobles, who provide them with people and money for protection. Coloman suggests letting the Lycans patrol outside during the day, since vampires can't. Viktor opposes this, fearing it would give the Lycans too much freedom and risk losing control. Coloman then proposes creating a privileged class of Lycans, led by a trusted Lycan like Lucian, to control the others and manage the wolves during the day. Viktor is reluctant, but without Sonja's support, must consider the suggestion. With the human nobles arriving the next day, Viktor needs to make a decision soon. As the work shift ends, the Lycans are herded back into their cages. Lucian sneaks into the sewers, emerging outside the castle at a ruined sentry post where he meets Sonja. They are secret lovers, with Sonja acting cruelly to Lucian in public to avoid suspicion. They share a passionate kiss and make love. Lucian asks Sonja if she would join him if he escapes. Sonja doubts it's possible, fearing Viktor's retaliation. Lucian shows a key he made to remove the collar on his neck, which prevents Lycans from transforming by impaling them with spikes. Without the collar, Lucian believes he can fight and escape. Sonja fears for his life, but Lucian insists they should be equals, not slaves, as both Lycans and vampires descend from the Corvinus bloodline. As they part, Tannis, one of Viktor's lieutenants, secretly observes them and realizes their affair, but keeps it from Viktor. The human nobles arrive, and Sonja escorts them in, despite Lucian's concerns. Tannis has orders from Viktor for Sonja to stay within the castle, but she ignores him. As she leaves, Tannis subtly indicates to Lucian that he knows their secret. Sonja and vampire guards arrive to escort the human nobles and their slaves when they hear howling. Lucian realizes there are more wolves than they can handle and tries to warn them, but no one listens. He disobeys orders, knocks out some guards, and runs to save Sonja. Wolves attack from all directions, overwhelming the vampires. A human slave, Raze, fights off a wolf and survives. Sonja is injured, but Lucian arrives and defends her. He uses his key to remove his collar and transforms, roaring to drive off the wolves. Raze is impressed. Viktor arrives with his men, and Lucian changes back. Despite saving Sonja, transforming is forbidden for slave Lycans, and Lucian is beaten and arrested. Sonja's pleas to Viktor are ignored. Back at the castle, Viktor feels betrayed. Lucian is severely whipped by the guard he had angered. Sonja hears his screams and is devastated. After his punishment, Lucian is thrown back into his cage next to the human slaves. Raze, in the neighboring cage, gives him water. Viktor is suspicious of Sonja for pleading for Lucian, but she claims it was just gratitude for saving her life. Lucian and Raze talk, and Raze mentions he saw the wolves obey Lucian when he transformed. Lucian speaks of escape and freedom, intriguing the human slaves despite their fear. Sonja appears, and Lucian tells her he must leave. They decide to trust Tannis, who knows their secret but hasn't told Viktor, indicating he wants something. Lucian asks Sonja to find out what Tannis wants. Viktor meets with nobles to collect tribute for protection from the wolves. The tribute is low, and Viktor demands more due to increased attacks. A frustrated noble accuses Viktor of losing control. Viktor kills him to maintain fear and control. In the dungeons, vampires laugh as Lycans fight over food. Lucian, fed up, rallies the Lycans for rebellion. Sonja recalls Viktor giving her a medallion, significant in the first two films. She confronts Tannis, holding a dagger to his throat, and asks why he hasn't told Viktor about her and Lucian. Tannis explains that Viktor doesn't handle bad news well, and that he is waiting for the right moment to use the information. Tannis wants a council seat, which are rarely vacated. Sonja agrees to give Tannis her seat in exchange for his help. Sonja tells Lucian that Viktor plans to execute him the next evening and that he must leave at dawn to survive. They agree to meet in the forest in 3 days. Tannis passes by and tosses a collar key to Lucian. The human slaves are bitten by a transformed Lycan to become Lycans and serve the vampires. Lucian convinces the newly transformed Lycans, including Raze, to join his revolt. When the guard who whipped Lucian checks on the slaves, Lucian removes his collar, transforms, and kills him. The slaves break free, subdue their guards, and try to escape. The guards quickly respond with crossbows, killing many Lycans. Lucian escapes with the few who got free, vowing to return for the others. He throws 2 vampires out a window, and they turn to dust upon landing, while Lucian lands safely. The few Lycans that escaped follow him. Viktor is furious and notices the collars were unlocked. Suspecting Tannis of betrayal, Viktor is told by Tannis that the key was locked in the armory and asks him to check to prove his innocence. Outside, Lucian and 4 other Lycans reach the forest. Instead of fleeing, Lucian plans to return to the castle to save the others. Lacking weapons and numbers, Lucian asks Raze to lead him to the nobleman's estate for supplies and soldiers. In the castle armory, Tannis finds the key he had stored away. Viktor believes Lucian must have made another key, and Tannis is off the hook. Lucian frees the human slaves from the nobleman's estate. He offers them the chance to join his fight and gain immortality as Lycans. The freed slaves agree, and they prepare for battle, making weapons and arming themselves. Lucian sends Raze to recruit more soldiers from other estates. At the castle, Viktor finds a loose metal grate Lucian used to sneak out. He follows the passage to Sonja and Lucian's secret meeting place. Lucian meets with the wolves in the woods. The wolves do not attack and seem to listen to him. Viktor confronts Sonja about Lucian's escape. Not believing her, he drinks her blood to see her memories. Realizing his daughter has betrayed him, Viktor freaks out, imprisons Sonja, and storms out. At the Lycan camp, Lucian waits for Sonja, but her absence worries him. The others urge him to leave before they are found, but Lucian insists on waiting. At the castle, the council pressures Viktor to act against Lucian, who is rallying slaves and creating more Lycans. Viktor knows Lucian will return for Sonja and prepares for the attack. Viktor sends Sonja's friend to inform Lucian that she will be executed soon. Lucian, aware it's a trap, heads to the castle alone, leaving Raze in command. At night, Lucian sneaks into the castle, silently taking out guards. He reaches Sonja, and they attempt to escape through the sewers, but face heavy resistance. Viktor and his men pour oil into the sewers and set them on fire. Lucian and Sonja escape through a hole in the ceiling and fight the vampires. Outnumbered, Lucian struggles, while Sonja fights effectively because the vampires want her alive. Viktor arrives and battles Sonja. She pleads for Lucian's release for the sake of their unborn child. Viktor, considering the child an abomination, subdues Sonja. Lucian regrets escaping, but Sonja reassures him that her choices are her own. Sonja and Lucian are put on trial. The guards shoot 2 silver arrows into Lucian's back to prevent him from transforming. Sonja is convicted of treason, and even Viktor declares her guilty, despite his pain. Lucian pleads for her release, but it's futile. In a chamber, Sonja is strung up and forced to watch Lucian being severely whipped. The vampires leave, and at dawn, Sonja is executed by sunlight as Lucian, unable to save her because of the silver arrows, watches helplessly. Viktor grieves heavily. At sunset, Lucian remains chained. Viktor visits his daughter's remains, unaware of the full moon. Furious, Lucian uses the moonlight to force out the arrowheads, transform, and break free. He grabs Sonja's medallion and tries to escape, but is pummeled with arrows. Severely injured, Lucian roars to signal his men before weakening and returning to human form. Viktor prepares to kill Lucian, but notices a horde of Lycans and wolves charging toward the castle. The vampires fire their crossbows, but the wolves quickly overrun them. Raze finds Lucian and helps him. Lucian instructs Raze to free the other Lycan prisoners, who then transform and fight their way out. Viktor orders Tannis to retrieve the hibernating elders and prepares to face the Lycans. Viktor, a powerful warrior, takes down many Lycans. Lucian spots Viktor and charges at him. In the sewers, Tannis rows the elders to safety. Lucian catches up with Viktor, and they fight, falling into a pit and hanging from chains. Lucian weakens Viktor with sunlight by breaking a hole in the wall and ties him up in chains. Viktor says he should have killed Lucian long ago, but is silenced by a sword through his mouth. Lucian, thinking he has killed Viktor, tosses his chained body into the water. Outside, Raze claims it's over, but Lucian says it's just begun, marking the start of the second vampire-Lycan war. Off the coast, Viktor is recovered by Tannis and placed in his coffin to recover while the next elder takes over. The film ends with a scene from the first film, Craven's speech to Selene, revealing that Viktor killed her family but kept her alive because she reminded him of his daughter. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.